Hello everyone, this is Tallie. I have conducted a multiple regression analysis describing the impact of smoking and alcohol on individuals' poor physical and mental health. Thank you. Data set variables and sample size. The data set was derived from the 2015 Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System BRFSS survey by the Centers for Disease and Control Center, CDC. Variables. Predictive variables are smoke every day, X1 coded 1, smoke some days, X2 coded 2, smoke not at all, X3 coded 3, drink alcohol yes, X4 coded 1, and drink alcohol no, X5 coded 2, and the dependent variable was poor physical and mental health, poor health. Now the dummy variables utilized were smoke every day, X1 coded 1, smoke some days, X2 coded 2, smoke not at all, X3 coded 3, reference variable, frequency of days not smoking, smoke day 2. Dummy variables utilized were drink alcohol yes, X4 coded 1, and drink alcohol no, X5 coded 2. Reference variable, drink any alcoholic beverages in the past 90 days, drink any 5. Sample size was 495 participants who were non-institutionalized. Introduction, purpose, and research question. Introduction. The Centers for Disease and Control Center, CDC, have continued to conduct research on health risk behaviors using the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System BRFSS survey since 1984. Purpose. The purpose of this qualitative descriptive study is to describe the impact of the predictive variables IV, smoke every day, X1 coded 1, smoke some days, X2 coded 2, smoke not at all, X3 coded 3, drink alcohol yes, X4 coded 1, and drink alcohol no, X5 coded 2, has on the dependent variable DV, poor physical and mental health, poor health, using the Centers for Disease and Control Center CDC 2015 Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System BRFSS data. Research question. Is the independent variable smoke every day, X1 coded 1, smoke some days, X2 coded 2, smoke not at all, X3 coded 3, drink alcohol yes, X4 coded 1, and drink alcohol no, X5 coded 2, a significant predictor of the dependent variable, poor physical and mental health, poor health, Y, when controlling for other variables. Hypothesis. Null hypothesis 1. Smoke every day, X1 coded 1 is not a significant predictor of poor physical and mental health, poor health Y, when controlling for all other variables. Alternative hypothesis 1. Smoke every day, X1 coded 1 is a significant predictor of poor physical and mental health, poor health Y, when controlling for all other variables. Null hypothesis 2. Smoke some days, X2 coded 2 is not a significant predictor of poor physical and mental health, poor health Y, when controlling for all other variables. Alternative hypothesis 2. Smoke some days, X2 coded 2 is a significant predictor of poor physical and mental health, poor health, when controlling for all other variables. Null hypothesis 3. Smoke not at all, X3 coded 3 is not a significant predictor of poor physical and mental health, poor health Y, when controlling for all other variables. Alternative hypothesis 3. Smoke not at all, X3 coded 3 is a significant predictor of poor physical and mental health, poor health Y, when controlling for all other variables. Hypothesis continued and alpha. Null hypothesis 4. Drink alcohol yes, X4 coded 1 is not a significant predictor of poor physical and mental health, poor health Y, when controlling for all other variables. Alternative hypothesis 4, drink alcohol yes, X4 coded 1 is a significant predictor of poor physical and mental health. Poor health Y when controlling for all other variables. No hypothesis 5, drink alcohol no. X5 coded 2 is not a significant predictor of poor physical and mental health. Poor health Y when controlling for all other variables. Alternative hypothesis 5, drink alcohol no. X5 coded 2 is a significant predictor of poor physical and mental health. Poor health Y when controlling for all other variables. The alpha was set at 0.05. Poor physical and mental health. The BRFSS survey questions for the dependent variable poor physical and mental health was during the past 30 days. For about how many days did poor physical or mental health keep you from doing your usual activities such as self-care, work, or recreation? Poor physical health, according to the CDC, injuries or physical illness are forms of poor physical health. Poor mental health. Characteristics of poor mental health include problems with emotions, stress, and depression. Methodology. Data from the 2015 Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System BRFSS survey by the Centers for Disease and Control Center, CDC, was used for this research. The sample for this survey measuring behavioral risk factors was derived from non-institutionalized adult individuals, e.g. 18 or older, living throughout the United States, e.g. 53 states. Data collection was derived from the computer assisted telephone interview, e.g. software package C13 WIN CATI. The interviews were conducted by contractors or state personnel following the BRFSS guidelines. The interviews lasted between 23 minutes and 28 minutes due to the additional questions added by state personnel. Findings and analysis. In this slide we have descriptive statistics, ANOVA, and/or the model summary. The ANOVA analysis indicated that the overall model was significant. R squared equals 0.06, F degrees of freedom 5, number count 589 equals 6.49 with a p-value of 0.001. See the model summary and ANOVA. The mean M equals 0.69, standard deviation equals 0.463. For the predictor variable, drink alcohol no, was higher than the mean M equals 0.29, standard deviation equals 0.456 for smoke not at all, and higher than the means for drink alcohol yes at M equals 0.26, standard deviation equals 0.441, smoke every day at M equals 0.13, standard deviation equals 0.340, and smoke some days at M equals 0.06, standard deviation equals 0.235. Table 1 and/or descriptive statistics indicated that adults drink alcohol no at an average of 69%. The standard deviation, once again, is 0.463. Smoke not at all at an average of 29%. Standard deviation equals 0.456. Drink alcohol yes at an average of 26%. Standard deviation equals 0.441. Smoke every day at an average of 13%. Standard deviation equals 3.40. Smoke some days at an average of 6%. Standard deviation equals 0.235. Findings and analysis. Let's look at the person or correlations. To examine the correlations of predictive variables, smoke every day, smoke some days, smoke not at all, drink alcohol yes, and drink alcohol no on the outcome variable, poor physical and mental health, a person or correlations was conducted. Smoke every day and poor physical and mental health were significant, positively and weakly related. R equals 0.120, R squared equals 0.01, a p-value of 0.001, and a 1% variance. Smoke some days and poor physical and mental health were not significant. R equals 0.057, R squared equals 0, p-value of 0.103 with 0 variance. Smoke not at all and poor physical and mental health were not statistically significant. R equals 0.026, R squared equals 0, P equals 0.281, and 0 variance. Drink alcohol, yes, on poor physical and mental health were significant, positively and weakly related. R equals negative 0.154, R squared equals 0.02, the p-value was 0.001, and a 2% variance. Drink alcohol, no, and poor physical and mental health were significantly, positively, and weakly related. R equals 0.139, R squared equals 0.02. There was a p-value of 0.001 and a 2% variance. Findings and analysis. Let's look at the Pearson-R correlation. To examine the correlations of predictive variables, smoke every day, smoke some days, smoke not at all, drink alcohol, yes, and drink alcohol, no, on the outcome variable poor physical and mental health, a Pearson-R correlation was conducted. Smoke every day and poor physical and mental health were significant, positively and weakly related. R equals 0.120, R squared equals 0.01. There was a p-value of 0.001 and a 1% variance. Smoke some days and poor physical and mental health were not significant. R equals 0.057, R squared equals 0, p-value of 0.103 with 0 variance. Smoke not at all and poor physical and mental health are not statistically significant. R equals 0.026, R squared equals 0, P equals 0.281, and there was a 0 variance. Drink alcohol, yes, on poor physical and mental health were significantly, positively, and weakly related. R equals negative 0.154, R squared equals 0.02. There was a p-value of 0.001 and a 2% variance. Drink alcohol, no, and physical and mental health were significant, positively, and weakly related. R equals 0.139, R squared equals 0.02. There was a p-value of 0.001 and a 2% variance. Findings and analysis continued. What stood out in this statistical analysis was that drink alcohol, yes, was found to be the strongest predictor of poor physical and mental health with a SR score of 0.90. Drink alcohol, yes, was found to be statistically significant but negatively correlated with poor physical and mental health. The regression coefficient B for drink alcohol, yes, equaled negative 5.304. They had a 95% confidence interval for B equals negative 4.601 to 4.472. The p-ratio was negative 2.057, and the p-value was significant at 0.04. Smoke every day was the next strongest predictor of poor physical and mental health at a SR score of 0.03, which is weak. The regression coefficient B for smoke every day equaled 6.002 with a 95% confidence interval for B equals 3.050 to 8.954. The p-ratio was 3.99 and the p-value was significant at 0.001. Drink alcohol, no, was the only predictive variable that was not a predictor of poor physical and mental health at 0.978. This is table 4. The dummy variable that was removed from the previous model was diagnosed with depression, yes or no. The predictive variable ever told you had a depressive disorder did not meet the assumptions for multicollinearity. Yes, depressive order tolerance equals 0.055, which is below 1. VIF equals 18.261, which is higher than 10. So depressive disorder tolerance score was equals 0.055, which is below 1. VIF equals 18.237, which is higher than 10. See Table 9. This is Figure 1, a histogram, which is displaying a normally distributed regression. Syntax. This is the syntax for the multiple regression analysis. Implications for social change. Individuals can be educated on what enhances good physical and mental health. Families can be provided with resources that will change unhealthy behaviors that lead to poor physical and mental health. This research will allow organizations to become aware of some of the contributing factors that lead to poor physical and mental health. These organizations can seek evidence-based programming and/or therapy-related treatments based on the findings of this research, which will allow for enhanced programming. The government can continue to create policies that will minimize drinking alcohol and/or smoking, and provide monetary factors to organizations who aspires to educate individuals on behavioral risk factors. The government can decide on a health care plan for Americans that will be beneficial in helping individuals maintain good physical and mental health. Let's look at the limitations. The Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System BRFSS survey data set did not have variables interval scale or normal on respondents' race. The Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System BRFSS survey data set did not have a variable interval scale and or nominal on respondents' geographical area. I did not use the respondent's sex for this multiple regression analysis, which could have provided quantitative data on how each gender risk-taking behaviors impacts the dependent variable, poor physical and mental health. APA 2013 indicates that alcohol use disorder can cause physical and or psychological disorders, and not being able to fulfill roles at work. Further research is needed to examine the correlation of mild, moderate, and severe alcohol use disorder on the impact of the outcome variable, poor physical and mental health. Predictive dummy variables for being diagnosed with depression was not a good fit for this model, which could have enhanced validity and or reliability in the model by examining the true impact of the predictive variables on poor physical and mental health. Validity and reliability. The multiple regression analysis was valid and reliable and was enhanced due to using the CDC BRFSS survey data set that had a sample size of N equals 495 of non-institutionalized individuals throughout the United States, which allows the findings to be compared to the United States population. Validity and reliability could have been minimized due to dummy coding normal variables and using them as predictors of the outcome variable, poor physical and mental health. The entire model met the assumptions for honors, multicollinearity, homoscedasticity, which means normally distributed histogram, and or independent errors. The multiple regression analysis MRA allows for additional statistical tests such as regression coefficients, estimates and or confidence intervals at 95%, descriptive tests, ANOVA analysis, collinearity diagnostics, and or plots of standardized residuals, which allows for estimations of correlations of variables and or effect of the predictive variables on the outcome variable. References. References continued.